Alright everybody, the Aprilia is finally on stands and we're going to take those forks off and put some stiffer springs in. I've got the Race Tech kit right here. Got this from AF1 like years ago. So they came with the springs and oil. I picked up a oil level, fork oil level gauge. I also picked up washers because the original instructions said they needed them, but when I contacted them, they said that they just switched over to PVC only. So I might take a look at them when we get there, see if we're going to run the washers or not. But first, we need to get the windscreen front cowling off, the front fender, the brake, the wheel, and then we'll get those forks off and start worrying about those. Alright, gonna attempt to remove the circlip in here, which involves pushing this down. We gotta compress the spring and get the circlip out. See if I can show how much force it looks like when you're compressing these. Screwdriver at the ready. Alright. That one was actually easier. Circlip. Oh. Circlip out. There we go. Oh, this stuff smells awful. Alright, so we got the old springs out, and now I've got the forks inverted, just draining out as much oil as it can. And I don't have them like super clamped in this vise. There's just a piece of wood kind of holding them against the jaw that's right here. Nothing crazy, just so they don't slip. And let's let those drain out for a little bit. So I had to go to the hardware store and pick up some new washers. These ones are actually too big. So I went and got a few of these, and it turns out that the forks are about, 27.5 millimeters or so, just under that. And so I went and I picked up these, which are right about 25. So a little bit of space between the walls, and then these should sit on top of the springs like this, and then the PVC on top of that. I wanted to do that because I have a feeling that just the PVC on the spring is going to kind of chew it up a little bit. I mean, maybe not. I did talk to AF1, and they did say that they revised the kit a couple times. So now the kit just comes with the PVC and the springs, whereas before it used to come with washers and metal shims, or metal spacers. So when I talked to them last, they just said just throw this in there without any washers. I'm going to run the washers, see how they do. Alright, so I decided to go with these 1/2 inches. They are roughly 26 millimeters, 27 millimeters in diameter there. 26.71. So we're going to run with these. So I got to cut the spacer because it's just one PVC pipe. And the instructions on AF1 say to run less than 115 for the spacer, 115 millimeters. Anything more than that apparently binds up. So I'm going to cut this to 106 millimeters. The stock ones that they used to provide were 100 millimeters, and that kind of puts me with the washer here at 108 or so. This is just under 2 millimeters. So I think that's a good starting point. I can always mess with it later. I will leave a link to the instructions that I'm following down below. If somebody finds one that's more updated, leave it below in the comments. I'll pin it and I'll change the description in the video, because this one is pretty old. But let's cut this to 100 and, I said 6, right? 106 millimeters. I got my PVC cutter here. Make a nice, fairly sharp edge. Just want to get right on that edge there. Wow, that was actually pretty straight. I'll sand this down just to make sure it's actually flat. 106.7, 106.7. 106.65. Alright, let's measure out and cut another. Wow, those are a lot closer than I thought they'd be. Oh, 106.3, 106.5. That is close enough for me. Alright, so the forks have been draining for a couple hours and they're looking fine. The next step in the instructions is to pour a little of the fork oil. The kit comes with PJ1 30 weight, and they said use like 1/4 of the bottle to run through the forks. Make sure you kind of clean out any of the old fluid and whatnot. And it said to spin the tube itself to kind of wipe it all through, and then we pour that out too. Alright, I guess it's time to learn how to use this fork oil level gauge. My kingdom for a knife. My kingdom for a sharp knife. That was embarrassingly hard. Alright, so I believe, yeah, there it is. So these markings are the distance from the top of the fork tubes. I'm going for 115 in these. This is 110, so between 110 and 120. Right there. Lock this down. So what we do is we stick this down into the fork, and this rests on the top, and then we use the syringe to pull out any oil that is above whatever we have this set to. Alright, so we're going to fill this up, and we're going to give it a few pumps, work it in. I should also note that there are no springs or spacers, anything in here. It is empty. Alright, slightly painful reminder that I need to read instructions more than once. You measure the oil from the top with the fork fully compressed. I was doing it fully extended, so there's going to be a lot of extra oil in here. So let's push these down real quick. Now that it's fully compressed, I can measure 115 millimeters from the top here. There's going to be a lot of oil coming out of this one. Okay, now comes the fun bit. We get to reassemble. So first things first, we put the spring in. Okay. We're going to put our washer in. And then we put our PVC spacer in. I wish that didn't go all the way across the garage. We'll put the other one in. There's spacer in. Now for the fun part of trying to compress everything so that I can get the circlip back in. I really hope you can see this. Ah, got it. That only took like 45 minutes. Alright, that's in. So I had to just bear down on it, pop the circlip in, and it just fell right into place. Alright, I'm gonna get the other one done, and it's gonna be off camera because you're just watching my crotch at this point. Coming to you from the future here. So I was looking at this level gauge, and I was thinking that this distance is actually pretty long, and it doesn't look like 115 millimeters. I grabbed my calipers, and sure enough, it is significantly longer than 115 millimeters. What I figured out was that it was shipped to me, installed backwards. I really should have picked this up when I was looking at it and setting the value previously, but I was in a rush to just kind of get the job done. So now if we go and we set this to 115, 115 is right here. Grab our caliper, and we got 115. So I didn't catch this until I had the forks completely together. I started looking at this and thinking, wow, that's not right. So I actually went ahead and took these apart again and filled them to the correct level. So take a look at this when it comes out of the bag. That was totally on me. I should have looked at it a little bit closer before I just jumped right in. I'm going to set the forks to 10 millimeters above the triple clamps here. Alright, I've got my torque wrench set to 18.5 foot-pounds. The spec is, I think, 25 Newton meters. Alright, we got the front wheel and brake back on. Let's get it off the stands and see how the forks feel. You know, while it's not insanely stiff, it's a lot stiffer than it used to be, and it seems like there's a lot less pogo action, which will be really good, because this bike used to just pogo all around turns, so I'm super happy with these. Alright, that's it. Job's done. We got the stiffer springs in. Can't wait to get this out and start testing it some more, but we have a few other things that I want to do to it before I start ripping it around the street again. Thanks for hanging out with me in the garage, and I'll see you in the next one.